speakers just get right up here where it's easy. Okay. Hey, Tiffany. Is that Tiffany? No, you go ahead.
Then come up, Madison.
We're going to get started in just a second. So speakers, when it's your time to speak, y'all pull your mask down. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We want to thank you all for being able to come today and meet us here at the Slave Haven. My name is Sharice Scott, and I am CEO and founder of Sister Reach. We are a reproductive justice organization, and we are based here in Memphis, Tennessee. What we're going to do is I'm going to speak, and we're going to have about 3 or 4 speakers that will come after me. They will state their name, their organization, and then they will give their comments. And then I'm going to come out and close us out, and then we will take questions. While most of us were sleeping, Tennessee legislators passed one of the most restrictive and culturally inept anti-abortion bills in the country. In a vote of 23-5, the Tennessee Senate passed a 6-week abortion ban that will prohibit a pregnant person from seeking out abortion care after a fetal heartbeat can be detected. It would also prohibit abortion for a woman or girl who is the victim of incest or rape, if Down syndrome is detected in the pregnancy, and it removes the protection of judicial bypass, an option minor girls choose for abortion access when they do not have parental support or counsel. So Black women and girls, other vulnerable Tennessee women, and pregnant people will die without safe and legal access to abortion care. This legislation is not only unconstitutional, but racist and classist. This legislation was decided by a majority white, male, evangelical legislature that double talks about life while they unapologetically sanction the killing and destruction of vulnerable families all over this state. The fact that this legislation was passed in the third watch of the night not only demonstrates the evil and treacherous culture of legislative violence Tennessee conservatives are known for, but the disregard for not creating opportunities for the most vulnerable to speak about the healthcare access we require as Black women and other vulnerable people in this state. Abortion access is essential healthcare to Black women, as we are among the most unprotected and neglected people in this state. This legislation forces Black women and girls back into the alleys for unsafe abortion procedures. This legislation does not curb rape, incest, or human trafficking, sexual violence that we as Black women are all too familiar with in Tennessee. Sexual violence that continues to be deprioritized and was excluded as a protection of this legislation. It does not curb unintended pregnancies, a reality that our teens and young adults navigate in a state that has mandated that they remain ignorant about their bodies and does not offer them an opportunity to make informed decisions and choices about if and when or how to safely and maturely engage in sexual activity. Amidst worldwide protests against the killing of Black people and the deafening silence of the anti-choice community in defense of Black life, this bill is a blatant slap in the face of Black Tennesseans and vulnerable people. On this Juneteenth holiday, commemorating the liberation of slaves 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, we find ourselves once again impacted by white supremacy, errant theology, and political terrorism led by white men. Less than 24 hours ago, Governor Lee made a statement about racial reconciliation and once again referenced the Bible to justify his claim that he cares about humanity and the lives of all people. But this abortion ban demonstrates that he has no cultural understanding about the realities of Black people, Black life, and the choices or lack thereof Black women, girls, and pregnant people in Tennessee make because of the political abandonment of this and other lynching legislation. This abortion ban is the knee on the neck of Black women. This abortion ban is on the knee of the neck of Black women. This abortion ban will place our lives at stake and is the crucifixion of the most vulnerable people in Tennessee. Governor Lee, every senator, and House representative who made this abortion ban possible are no better than Officer Derek Chauvin. They are no less responsible than Pontius Pilate, who crucified Jesus. And their actions, emboldened by white supremacy and Christian extremism, will yield strange fruit because of this irresponsible miscarriage of justice. And I want to explain what reproductive justice is so that we're very clear that though we are lifting up what this abortion ban means, that we are not just talking about abortion in a vacuum. Reproductive justice was a term coined in 1994 by 12 black women and was created to center the lived experiences of black women around issues of reproductive and sexual health. Central to the reproductive justice theory is the universal human right to dignity, self-determination, and autonomy. It centers people whose liberty has been violated and whose social and economic well-being and culture has been deliberately ignored. We have been ignored in the state of Tennessee. Reproductive justice seeks to liberate and emancipate vulnerable populations from all forms of reproductive and sexual oppression, which means the exploitation of women, girls, and individuals through our bodies, sexuality, labor, fertility, and reproduction in violation of our human rights. The reproductive justice framework challenges us to expand our analysis beyond abortion to be inclusive of the myriad of issues that preclude women from achieving reproductive and sexual autonomy. And now I'm going to call on another speaker, Joyce Kyles, who is the founder and CEO of Walking Into a New Life.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity, Sister Reach. This is personally and professionally hard to stand here, but at the same time, I want you to look at my shirt. Keep your laws off my body. I can't say it any plainer than that. But because I became the CEO and founder of Walking Into a New Life, and our mission is to provide resources for people who have been impacted by domestic violence. But this past Sunday, I celebrated 12 years as a survivor of domestic and sexual violence. And thank you. So to see something like this take root today, this was not an accident. This was not a mistake. This was by design, that you would choose today of all days, when we are trying as a people to celebrate our freedom. We are further being reminded that our freedoms are contingent upon what you defined as free for us.
Yeah, come on, girl.
This is what we're tired of. We're sick of it, as they say. I'm tired. I have been abused sexually and did not have control over when and how I would perform sex. Let us just be clear about it. I have no shame in that, because that was who I was in the way that I had to live, because my life was being controlled in that realm. So to have someone to dictate to me at this age and time that I have to go back and tell those that I work with, those young women and men that I work with, that someone is saying you don't have the right, again, to control when and how your body is being used. It's wrong. It's racist. It has to stop. This is the reason that we've come today on Juneteenth, when we should be celebrating our freedoms and our liberties. But we are still here standing and fighting. We're still asking and begging for something that we shouldn't have to ask and beg for in the first place. I am so tired. So Sharice said it best in this description, and let us be clear. Reproductive rights is human rights.
Yes.
We have a human right to be free. We have a human right to live and produce the way that we choose to. I don't know who was responsible in terms of the individuals that actually went forward, but I can tell you, I didn't get a phone call. Nobody's reached out to any of the people that I know to ask what we think, how we feel, how will this impact black and brown women in this community. So how do you get the right? How do you have the right to tell black and brown women how to use their bodies, and all women? But I stand to you today as a black woman. So I speak from my black experiences about my black life. So I ask you, stand with all of us. Support us, support yourself. No one has the right to tell you how you should use your body. Our bodies, our choices. It should not be contingent upon what a white man decides is the best way for me to live. And with that, I will pass it on.
Good afternoon. I'm Pastor Elise Salisbury of Agape Affirming Ministries, and I absolutely am disgusted and appalled by the abortion ban passed in the wee hours of the night by Tennessee legislators. Their actions are nothing less than diabolically evil and an intentional subverting of the full bodily autonomy that the women of this state deserve. Since the day that I began working in the reproductive justice movement, a movement begun by 12 black women asking for human rights and a chance at abundant life, I've witnessed Tennessee legislators justify passing bills and doing so in the name of the Lord. But I stand here today to send a message from myself as well as black women to declare that taking away our right to choose what is healthy and safe for our bodies and our communities is an act of spiritual warfare. We understand that because conservative legislators and the pens they use to sign these bills are dripped in the innocent blood of black people through white supremacy, that bills such as the abortion ban absolutely gets the attention of God, and God demands an answer of their tyranny. As a black woman in the year of 2000, I was 2 months along when I found out I was pregnant. The only alarm my body even gave me was that I began to oversleep. Last year, my desire to testify before the Judiciary Committee was ignored and rejected, as they did not want to hear from anyone who had experienced anything contrary to what their intentions were about this abortion bill. As a black woman, I listened to Senator Katrina Robinson, another black woman, a nurse, and a mother, explain the stages of pregnancy, informing legislators that their assumption and unlearned ignorant theologies were incorrect, and her knowledge and education clearly agitated anti-choice legislators. As a black woman, I eagerly watched Cherie Scott, another black woman, a mother and CEO, attempt to warn legislators of the harm passing this abortion bill would cause to the black community, only to watch them turn her mic off, ignoring her to the point of asking deputies to remove her from the room. We were three black women desiring to be heard about our black experiences, education, and knowledge, ignored by the majority who could determine the ability for others to have abortions by simply a yay or nay. We were concerned for ourselves, women's right to full bodily autonomy and our community, but their arrogance, pride, and ignorance reigned supreme instead. Just a few weeks ago, we watched the male child that was birthed of a black woman, grown into a black man, be plastered to the hot ground with a white officer's knee on his neck. He cried for his mother as he pleaded in anguish and agony, aggravated by an officer who repeatedly ignored his cries, "I can't breathe." He called for the mother who had birthed him, and she couldn't answer. He called for Jesus' help, and seemingly Jesus couldn't answer. He called for another human being to help, and nobody standing by could grant an inch of relief, fearing for their own black lives too. A black child, now a dead black man whose life and pain were ignored, simply called white supremacy. Then, like riders draped in white, burning crosses in the night, seeking more prey, legislators passed the abortion bill. A bill whereas tenets includes women's experiences of incest or rape, and by law revokes her choice to terminate an unwanted pregnancy, one that derived from torment these legislators will never know. And we know that this bill will have direct adverse effects on the physical, mental, and emotional health of black women, and the aftermath will result in bloodbaths from unsafe abortion attempts. And so, between the anti-black legislation pouring from the Capitol and the murders of the Tatiana Jeffersons and George Floyds across the nation, we know that our lives are not their real concern. Their intent is to continually choke us and lynch us through legislation, further tormenting our already devastated communities until we exist no more. But we stand today not to ask, but to demand that you get your knee off of our necks. We decree and declare that Black Lives Matter. We decree and declare that black women's lives matter. And we decree that all black lives matter. And because we do not stand alone, being compassed about a great cloud of witnesses here at Slave Haven among our ancestors today, we come as more than who you see. And we'll continue fighting against spiritual wickedness, and we will get what we have come for, and that is reproductive justice. No justice, no peace, until we gain full bodily autonomy. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Antoine Dandridge. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for Planned Parenthood of Tennessee in North Mississippi. I've been a part of the movement for reproductive rights since 2014 during the No One campaign that was an eye-opener for me around the conversation, not only around abortion, but around access to sex education and proper reproductive health. Our city has suffered. When I first came aboard at Planned Parenthood, my first job was to walk around the city, and I distributed over 300,000 condoms at some point over 1 year. And you will be amazed to know the stories that I've had to hear. And I want to say, as a black man, you don't know a person's story until you've had to listen to them from them directly. I've heard countless of stories of young black women who were in college and was in abusive situations, or a situation where they thought they may have been in love and gotten pregnant and didn't want to go back and be shamed by a family or community of people who make women feel bad about choices that she would make about her body. But their choice was also a choice that had no time to linger because graduation was around the corner. Or maybe graduation was a long shot. Maybe the parents can barely afford to send her to school. Young men who came to me who wanted to understand how to support their girlfriends or their wives, grown people who had been married and making decisions and making good money, educated in degrees, but these choices belong to every single person. People are not making careless choices. In fact, I've known abortion to be one of the most toughest choices a woman have to make. So for a legislator to make a decision for somebody who didn't include the likes of all the people who have to make this decision for themselves, number one, is unjust. Yeah. We definitely, for 5 years straight, I've had an opportunity to attend Day on the Hill. It is one of the most ugliest, brutal things I've ever had to watch volunteers, supporters, and most of all of us taxpaying citizens sit through for 2 and 3 hours of listening to people heinously speak horribly about our women in Tennessee. Yeah. Black, white, and all races of women. And I'm gonna tell you something, beyond that, all women hurt the same when you talk about their uterus and their bodies. Right. Yeah. Right. My mama said, don't talk about a woman and her period. And we should use that same information and let these women make these decisions, because these women, unfortunately, are the ones at the forefront of this, and I believe our women know what to do. So we need to step back, we need to listen. I also speak to this, that the same people who made this same vote last night and caused all of this, all these issues, they do this every year obviously, are the same ones who vote against sex education in Tennessee schools. If we can get that same vote, maybe our children can make better decisions that would lead to better outcomes around their bodies and around their choices. Because you don't know what it's like to sit in the middle when I have to listen to a young child or a college student or even an adult who don't have the proper education around their bodies, because you don't get that in school and they don't vote for that, to have to make a decision about an abortion that they may not have had to make had they understood what they could have done in the first place. So if you want to stand on one side, make sure you think about the other side before you make a decision. So get yourself educated, get involved with Sister Reach, get involved with Planned Parenthood, and we all have to do this together. This is not a one-up issue, and it will continue to be an issue until we understand this is more than about abortion. Thank you, Sharice, because I was going to say something else. So let's get active, y'all. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm really emotional. I was hiding my tears behind this mask. And to be here on Juneteenth at the Slave Haven with Sister Reach is hitting me really, really hard. Really hard. I'm real upset about this, y'all. But I'm happy to tell you that Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, and the Center for Reproductive Rights and Tennessee abortion providers are filing a lawsuit this afternoon against this unconstitutional bill. This bill is going to go on the trash heap of unconstitutional bills that other white legislatures around the country have passed. They're going to pay, Tennessee taxpayers during a pandemic when people are suffering, are going to pay the legal bills for the state of Tennessee to pass this horrible racist law. I'm happy to give you that good news, and I want to tell our patients across Tennessee, we are still open. Other abortion providers are still open. We are going to provide services to you until we can't. We're open. Please keep your appointment. Please call us if you need us, and we're going to be here for you. Thanks. I'm going to turn it back to Sharice.
Thanks so much to all of the speakers who have come today. Okay, and I want to thank our partners at Planned Parenthood, Choices Memphis Center for Reproductive Health, our Black Lives Matter supporters, friends, comrades. We appreciate you coming out today to stand with us. We want to say thank you to the Slave Haven coordinators who allowed us to have the press conference here at Slave Haven today. And now we will take any questions from the media. Great. If there are no questions, we just want to say, we want to use this last moment before we stop this press conference to say, Black women, we want to speak directly to you. Black men, we want to speak directly to you. Our Latinx friends and family, we want to speak directly to you. Our undocumented family, we want to speak directly to you. White women in the Appalachian areas of East Tennessee, we want to speak directly to you. Victims of incest, rape, and molestation, we want to speak directly to you. We absolutely cannot be silent right now. Right now, we have an amazing opportunity and beautiful momentum that has been bolstered by the Movement for Black Lives to center this moment on the civil rights and human rights of the most vulnerable people in America. And we need all of you to show up at the polls for the presidential election. We absolutely cannot have another 4 years of this type of legislative supremacist violence against Black bodies. We need you to show up in record numbers. We need you to fill out absentee ballots because we recognize that we are still in a pandemic. We recognize that even now we put ourselves at risk to come together to have a press conference, to talk about trying to save our lives. But we need you all to show up. We need you to come to the polls. Memphis, we need you to not only show up for the presidential election, we need you to show up for the city council election. We need you to show up for when we're voting for judges. We need you to show up and we're having to figure out who needs to be the best district attorney. We need you to show up when it's time to think about who are our county commissioners. We need you to show up when we're thinking about who are our Shelby County School Board leaders. We need you like never before. This issue is one among several issues that are impacting not only Black families, but families across the state and the nation. And we no longer can use this opportunity to be afraid to talk about the sex we're having, about the violations of sex that we have experienced. We can no longer be silent. When Sister Reach is at Black Folks Day on the Hill next spring, we need you with us. We need our allies. We appreciate all of you. We need our supporters. We need you on the Hill, not only with us. We need you on the Hill with Choices. We need you on the Hill with Planned Parenthood. We must send a message to our legislators that we cannot and we will not allow them to continue to push legislative terrorism against Black, brown, and vulnerable communities in this state any longer. So we thank you for coming out. We want to see you at the polls. We expect you at the polls, and we expect that we will have your support to call Governor Lee's office today. Call Governor Lee's office today and push back on this legislation. Call your senator, call your senators, and push back on this legislation today. Thank you, and thank you for coming out. We appreciate y'all. We also want to open this up if anybody wants to share an abortion story, if you want to talk about a sexual violent experience, if that is something that you would like to do, we want to allow you that opportunity. right? We didn't plan for this to become a protest, but it can be whatever we want it to be. This is our time. So if anybody want to speak, you are welcome. The floor is open, and this time is for you. Come on. Let's give this person a wonderful round of applause as they come.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Candace Jones. I'm a member of the LGBT community, but when I was 19, consensual relationship with a young man, and it resulted in a pregnancy. 2 weeks before I was to go off to college. I actually remember I didn't tell my mother. I actually drove to Planned Parenthood. And I sat in the parking lot for about 2 hours because I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision. I didn't know what to do. But I remember sitting out there, and I guess the employees, because it was early before the employees was coming in, and I guess he saw me sitting out there. He came back outside and he tapped on my window, and I can't remember his name, but I had a conversation with him, and he told me, he said, you know, there are other resources that we have here besides abortion. I thought this was just a clinic where I could have an abortion. I didn't know that there were other resources that could help me make a proper decision. And once I went on the inside, I saw that they not only offered abortions, but they also offered resources. They offered psychologists. They offered organizations that I could talk to and people that I could talk to. And ultimately, I had my son, and he's 11 now.
All right.
Healthy, a handful, but it's not a decision that I regret. What I do regret is not having the understanding that organizations like Planned Parenthood offer so much more than what people think they do.
That's right. That's right.
It's a misconception that this clinic or this organization or people who represent this organization are not pro-life. They are pro-life. They are optionary pro-life. They give you options about life, about your autonomy, about your decisions as a young individual. There were so many, even being a part of the LGBT community, I wasn't sure how people in my own community would look at me. And what they would say, and I've had individuals say to me, because I am MOC and I'm a mother, it's confusing for some people, but it's not confusing when it comes to the relationship that I have with my son.
That's right. That's right.
It's a beautiful relationship, and he, even at 11, we have conversations, these types of conversations, because I had to be real with him and tell him, son, you almost were not here. That was a decision that I had to make on whether your life was it wasn't that his life wasn't valuable, but maybe I was thinking about my own life. But without him now, I couldn't imagine what life would be like. And so I thank that young man that worked at Planned Parenthood who helped me not only make a decision that was good and it was best for me, but giving me the opportunity to know that there are countless resources and there are countless organizations and there are countless people whose stories that I can tell you. I have shared stories with women who have gone through abortions, who have gone through molestation, who have gone through rape, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. My situation was a consensual one, but I've heard horror stories from my brother, not my brother, but one girl, she shared that it was her brother. And the decision that she had to make, ultimately, she was forced to have the baby.
That's right.
She was forced to have that baby. And she doesn't have a relationship with that child. It's a weird, because it puts the family dynamic in this weird space that unfortunately we do not have, especially in Black communities. We do not have these type of conversations at our dinner table about reproductive system, even about choices. We don't have those conversations. We need to start having those conversations in our Black household with our Black sons and our Black daughters to let them know. If we want okay, sexual education is not in school. We educate our children. We tell our children. We be real about with our children about these types of situations. So I just wanted to share that and thank Cherie and the Gap Ministries and excuse me, Planned Parenthood. This is my guy right here. This is gonna be my new best friend right here. And God bless you all for coming out and supporting this. Thank you.
Let's give this awesome mother a hand clap. It takes a lot of courage to come up and say what if you had an abortion or if you had to make a decision. Is there anybody else who would like to share? Yeah. Is there anybody else that would like to share? All right. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
All right, y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you all. Thank y'all for coming out. Thank all our people. Thank you. Y'all support Sister Reach. All right.